From the east, house of light, may wisdom dawn in us so we may see all things in clarity. From the north, house of night, may wisdom ripen in us so we may know all from within. From the west, house of transformation, may wisdom be transformed into right action so we may do what must be done. From the south, house of the eternal sun, may right action reap the harvest so we may enjoy the fruits of planetary being. From above, house of heaven, where star people and ancestors gather, may their blessings come to us now. From below, house of earth, may the heartbeat of her crystal core bless us with harmonies to end all war. From the center, galactic source, which is everywhere at once, may everything be known as the light of mutual love. Ayum hunab ku eva maya imaho. Ayum hunab ku eva maya imaho. Ayum hunab ku eva maya imaho. All hail the harmony of mind and nature. Welcome to Soul Purpose Healing. I'm Viata, and you are coming into my village, the tiny house village, where we promote a more simplified living, a more peaceful living. And my journey has been so amazing that I want to share a little bit of it with you right now. All the tiny house, small house, faith over fear journeys that I've had over the last 10 years now. Welcome to the village. Village. We're raising consciousness here. We're finding more peace, and we're definitely waking up every morning with the mind that says, today is going to be my peaceful day. And it is, because writing things down connects the brain and the heart and the pen, and then speaking it out manifests that reality in our lives. So we want to manifest peace, even though war is in the news again. We can still have peace within this house, within this temple. So welcome. Thank you for joining me tonight as we talk about the art of war. There is a book, actually, that I want to just bring to your attention. Here it is, Art of War. This was a gift to me When I lived in the ashram, the residents of that who had vacated the place left hundreds of books for us to choose from. And this is one of the books that I have yet to really get into, but we're going to look into what exactly is the art of war, because it's everywhere. It's here. It's been all our lifetimes we've had war. More importantly, we need to understand how war exists in our bodies, in our minds, in our environment, and then not be anti-war but pro-peace, because anti-war is puts us in a weaker position, you might say, instead of a powerful position to promote peace, because there is actually an art of war, and that's what we want to talk about tonight. The art of war, what is it, and how can we have peace even with the principles of war all around us? And we're going to talk about the women of Iran, because it is today International Women's Day. I didn't know that until a couple hours ago. So I figured this is a great time to talk about women and some of the women who have suffered more mentally, emotionally than probably any women on the planet. I mean, that's a debate, I'm sure. But first, let's just look into the art of war. What is it? Because it's everywhere, it's a reality. And instead of fighting it, let's just understand it, what it is. We can start there and then move forward, maybe. Let's do that. I think I have an animated version. I'm going to play two videos about the art of war. One is kind of animated, I think, and the other one is, they're only a few minutes long, but I really feel we should get an understanding of what the art of war, and how it's something we don't have to be against, it's just be for peace.
War is part of life. It's in the nature of most living organisms to engage in battle, defeat opponents, and to dominate. With humans, we see this happen in war, in business, on the soccer field, in video games, in a nightclub, and even on YouTube. And chances are that when we're not engaging in a battle with our environment, we're waging war against ourselves. The Art of War by Sun Tzu is an ancient Chinese military text composed of 13 chapters that are devoted to the strategic and tactical aspects of warfare. The Art of War explains in detail how we must behave in battle and, more importantly, how to win. What makes a strong army? In what manner should we approach the enemy on enclosed terrain? And how should we use spies to garner information or to spread fake news? Aside from specific tips on combat, the art of war has a profound philosophical side to it. Sun Tzu argues that war shouldn't be taken lightly, that the highest form of warfare is defeating the enemy without fighting, and that being still and inscrutable is the business of a general. He emphasizes the use of intelligence over brute force and teaches us how to win battles the smart way. The beauty of the art of war is that its wisdom can be applied to our modern lives as well, even in times of peace, when we don't have to deal with bloodshed, but rather with work, sports, and daily conflicts in general. This video explores the wisdom of Sun Tzu's work, The Art of War. Sun Tzu, also known as Master Sun, was a military strategist and philosopher who lived about 2,500 years ago and is traditionally appointed the author of the art of war. But some Chinese scholars doubt the existence of Sun Tzu and believe that the art of war is a compilation of works by different authors. Sun Tzu, supposed to have lived during the time of the Zhou dynasty, around the time that the Taoist sage Lao Tzu and philosopher Confucius lived. His birthplace is disputed. Some say he was born in the state of Qi, others believe in the state of Wu. But the oldest available sources agree that he was a general and strategist who served the king of Wu. Throughout the ages, Sun Tzu's work inspired numerous people within the military as well as outside the military. The Vietnamese general Vo Nguyen Giap, for example, defeated the French during the Battle of Dien Bien Phu by using tactics described in The Art of War. And Brazilian soccer coach Luiz Felipe Scolari used the ancient strategy guide to win the 2002 World Cup. The Art of War emphasizes the importance of good preparation. The underlying philosophy is that victory and defeat are already decided before the battle is fought. This means that with sufficient knowledge and calculations, it's possible to estimate the chances of winning a battle. Which side is stronger? Who is more likely to win? Good research is essential. And if necessary, we need to employ spies to acquire the necessary information. We must know what we're up against and be realistic about our strengths and weaknesses. To create an obedient army, it's vital for a leader to know his soldiers. Every kind of soldier needs a different treatment. Self awareness is the key, as if we know ourselves, we know which enemies we're able to defeat and which enemies we should run from. Oftentimes, it's better to avoid conflict if that avoids great loss. According to Sun Tzu, the highest victory is defeating the enemy without even fighting. Unfortunately, this ideal isn't always an option. That's why in life we ought to pick our battles carefully, knowing which are worth fighting and which are a waste of energy and resources. And the battles we choose must be fought as efficient as possible. The strength of an army is limited. Even the biggest army in the world can run out of equipment, fuel, army vehicles, and of course the soldiers who operate them. Lengthy wars are disastrous for a country and its resources, and will only exhaust those that participate. Thus, the best way to win a battle is by striking quickly, with the minimal use of resources. Don't destroy the enemy's cities and resources when we can use them for our own, and don't needlessly kill the enemy's soldiers when they can join our ranks. Here we begin to see the Taoist influences in Sun Tzu's way of thinking, as he doesn't advocate for mindless destruction, but for waging war intelligently and leaving the enemy as intact as possible, so their force can become our own. I quote, "In war, better take a state intact than destroy it. Better take an army, a regiment, a detachment, a company intact than destroy them. Ultimate excellence lies not in winning every battle, but in defeating the enemy without ever fighting. The highest form of warfare is to attack strategy itself, the next to attack alliances, the next to attack armies. The lowest form of war is to attack cities. Siege warfare is the last resort." End quote. In war, victory is a product of measurement, estimation, calculation, and comparison. If victory is clear, fight. If defeat is certain, do not fight. If we choose to fight, we need to have sufficient knowledge in order to decide the right strategies that lead us to victory. For example, when we outnumber an enemy greatly, the best way to attack is by surrounding them. But when we are outnumbered, it's better to hide. In such a situation, applying guerrilla warfare has been a winning strategy for the Taliban in Afghanistan. The Taliban mingled with civilians and used secret hideouts and tunnel networks to remain unseen, while using sophisticated propaganda techniques and maintaining both cohesion and flexibility among their ranks. If they would have attacked their enemy head on, they would certainly have lost. But by using coordinated hit and run techniques, they have proved to be a force to be reckoned with.
So, as you can see, this art of war is about strategy, planning, defeat certain. I mean, how many people go into a war knowing they're going to be defeated? That's what the book The Art of War puts that idea out, that if you know you're going to be defeated, you don't want to go into the war. Hmm. I highly recommend you either get the book or go to YouTube. It's easier to go to YouTube. There are hundreds of videos about the book, The Art of War. I believe there's even an audio book on YouTube if you want to learn more about this very interesting philosophy about the art of war. I thought it was what caught my attention was the idea of having self-awareness. Considering a war, First and foremost, to consider victory, to increase your chances of victory, self awareness. Did the United States government go into this war with self awareness? Meaning how many tanks they have, how many bombs they have. Did they consider all this? Of course, they probably did. We want to hope they did. It's a big game they're playing here. But I want to suggest tonight this is so much bigger than the government of the United States, the government of Israel going against the government of Iran, the regime of Iran. This is really about International Women's Day and learning more about why war is necessary, possibly in this situation. Because when you look at the history of Iran, Persia, in case you don't know, it was originally called Persia. The history of this country tells us that over the years, I feel like the Antichrist developed, and the energy of the Antichrist developed in this country, especially against women. So I had a guest on. I'm going to show you a little bit of the interview that I did with my Iranian American friend, she's a Facebook friend, but she also lives in the Orlando area where I live. And I want to show part of the interview that we did in case you missed it. It was on a Wednesday night. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, you're going to miss these type of interviews. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget. So then when I bring on these amazing guests, you really do get a sense of what's going on in the world. What is it really about? When you talk to human beings, you find out more. It's like, Jesse Jackson just passed. His burial, he had 5 funerals, but the number of people who came out and talked about how much he influenced them to do better. One of them was a judge by the name, I can't think of his name, but he was a judge on a TV. He became a judge on a TV show, and Jesse Jackson so influenced his life after he got out of jail that Jesse Jackson told him he needed to get a college education. He went and got a college degree. Long story short, he ended up being a judge on a TV show after being in jail. So individual healthy relationships, healthy conversations, I believe, are where we really develop the value of others in our life, and the value of philosophies and healthy conversations teach us so much. I strongly encourage you to have healthy conversations, even with strangers. I talk to the cashiers at my grocery store when I have a chance. I look at their name. I want to know if their name is unusual. Where's that from? What language is that? And you know what happens? We end up smiling at each other and sometimes laughing at each other, with each other. I walk out the grocery store feeling high as a kite because I have a healthy conversation. I got to know human beings. So I want you to listen to some of the interview and some of the conversation I had with an Iranian woman on my show not too long ago. I think it was a couple of months ago when all this conflict started. And this is the first of a couple of interviews that I want you to gain some insight, empathy, and understanding about what we're really talking about: women, the needs of women to live a free life. Born where they're from, we need to come together. We need to unify as Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yep.
care where you were from, and your experience with Iran, I think, needs to be shared. So,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Sherry, please give us a little background for our audience, and then share with us, the update that we need to hear.
Yeah. So right now, Iran is all over the news, and if anybody doesn't know, please follow up because it's important for the voices to be heard. I'm from originally from Iran, but I grew up in Germany and the U.S. and was in France. And the reason that I left Iran, or better, my family left Iran, is because when this regime took over, the Islamic regime of Iran, that was in 1979, 47 years ago. They're very radical, and they started persecuting Baha'is. And Baha'i is a religious minority, very peaceful and working towards unity, global unity, actually. And so we had to flee Iran, and I have even family members that were executed, imprisoned, that were just because of their faith. They were not even politically active. They were not against the regime, anything. They were simply put in prison because of their beliefs.
Now that's just a beginning of it's almost an hour interview that I did with her. And as you can hear, the Baha'i faith is actually one of the minority religions in Iran. Iran is not completely Islam or Muslim country. There are people who have been living there, who have all types of faith. As you can imagine, the diverse community there has brought in different religions, and yet they've been persecuted. I want to show you a quick history of how badly the religion, the persecution has developed over the years. Now, she left in 1979, and even then, up to then, they couldn't take it anymore. But let's look at a quick history of even further back than that, and to overstand why this war is taking place today. It's not just the United States, Israel, all these deciding, let's bomb, let's take their oil, let's do this. No, this is a spiritual event, hopefully a freedom for women and people in that country who have been seriously killed, oppressed, and so much more. But let's look at a quick history to give us even more understanding of what is going on in this part of the world.
As the Assyrians had been. Rather, he was a tolerant man.
Let's go back here.
Way back to those indistinct... Hello, everyone, and... This is Asia, and here's Iran. Now let's Iran through it all, shall we? Not many nations are as ancient as Iran, and its story stretches way back to those indistinct eons of stone in the tantalizing outskirts of archaeological knowledge. As the centuries slipped by, civilizations sprang up. Curious, cryptic cultures of clever craftsmen creating curios like cup-bearing anthropomorphic bulls. But the first major civilization of Iran was Elam, which popped up in the 3rd millennium BC. The Elamites spoke a language not related to any other, and made the already ancient city of Susa their capital. Like all kingdoms, the Elamites fought their neighbors, but also traded as well. Now, the Elamites were not Iranian, and if you're wondering where the Iranians were, they were up here. They called themselves Aryans and were a nomadic people who spoke the dialects from which the Indo-European languages would be born. Some Aryans had migrated to distant lands centuries earlier, but around the 1000 BC mark, maybe earlier, other Aryans descended from the steppes of the north and began entering the vast expanses that would come to be known as Iran. This may have been the time of Prophet Zoroaster, or Zarathustra, the founder of the dualistic religion Zoroastrianism, which would become the majority faith of Iran for over 1000 years. Now, the Iranians were not united in the country they seized, but rather divided into different tribes, the most prominent being the Persians and the Medes. But for over 2 centuries, they were subjugated by the Assyrians. Around 612 BC, the Medes under Kyaxares teamed up with the Babylonians and sacked Assyria's capital. But as Assyria had been declining, the Medes had been growing in strength and came to rule a large, if short-lived, empire that ended up taken over by their cousins, the Persians, with the rise of Cyrus the Great in 550 BC, one of the very best kings in all history. Cyrus, himself half Median, truly thrust the Iranian people into greatness by setting out and conquering the largest empire the world had ever known, the Achaemenid Empire. Cyrus's foreign policy was not at all as brutal as the Assyrians had been. Rather, he was a tolerant man, generous and wise, famed for freeing the Jewish captives in Babylon to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple, Cyrus governed his extensive domains by an efficient system of administration in which the empire was not run as a single unit, but as a patchwork of states called satrapies that were each managed by regional governors called satraps, who had a bustling civil service beneath them. Cyrus was followed by his son Cambyses, whose reign was short but still saw him conquer Egypt. Darius the Great, not from the royal line, managed to win the throne, but made sure to tell everyone that it was actually the great god Ahura Mazda who had given him the kingdom. Darius expanded the empire to its maximum extent and further refined its efficiency by improving the network of.
Now, you might notice there's a lot of he, male information, male energy in these historical perspectives here. Why is that? Because women have always been in a role subservient to men over the years, and instead of partnership. I think today more than ever, we should all be thinking of not marriage and subservient and dominating, but partnerships, spiritual partnerships, agreements, harmony. War comes about because of what? A lack of harmony. And so we want to really promote tonight the idea that if we can harmonize with our male partners, female partners, then we're not going to have war on this level of person to person, as well as in countries. So one more bit of history I thought was interesting. You might think of Persia and Iran as being a history of light, fair-skinned people, but there were lots of Africans in Iran, in that area, in Persia. So here's another bit of history that you maybe weren't familiar about. Black history in Iran. It's very short too. So let's just take a look at all the diversity that exists in this country.
Although the exact size of the Afro-Iranian population is unknown, there are Afro-Iranian communities along the coastal provinces of the Persian Gulf, such as Sistan and Baluchistan. They speak the local dialects such as Baluchi and Bandari. Enslaved Africans were brought to Iran as part of the Indian Ocean slave trade. Enslaved men worked as laborers, bodyguards, and soldiers. Enslaved women were deployed as nannies and concubines. During the Qajar dynasty, many wealthy households had domestic staff from the Zanj region of Africa. Slavery was only formally abolished in Iran in 1929. Afro-Iranians continue to celebrate their African heritage through music, dance, and oral history. Today, the Collective for Black Iranians is an organization that works to highlight and celebrate Afro-Iranian history and narratives. Famous Afro-Iranians include the footballer Mehrab Sharuki, who played with Persepolis FC, and Gholam Zareh, a singer and dancer who performs at events.
So Iran is a very, very rich culture of diverse religions and people. And so it becomes more and more important, I think, for us in the United States of America, as one Iranian woman called us, very privileged. We're not seeing bombs drop on us. We have never in this country experienced, in my lifetime, in our generation, any type of serious battles of war, but we are now dealing with internal battles. So one more visual of listening to Iranian women hoping for a different lifestyle, a different peace. This war, the art of war, becomes important because we want to promote within ourselves even peace for our sisters in Iran and all over the world. We want our sisters to not be forced to wear any hijabs or any garments that they don't feel comfortable in or they're not purpose-filled, but we want women to have freedom. So this next video is about Iranian women hoping for liberation.
Many in the United States are not used to seeing a photo like this and connecting it with Iran. This could be the 70s in New York City, but this is what life was like for some women before the 1979 revolution. This is what fashion looked like, their legs out, their hairstyles. But then by the 80s, they became forced to wear the hijab, regardless of their preference. And punishments range anywhere from citations to jail time to beatings, even death. Well, today, Iranian women are still fighting back and advocating for more freedoms. Since 2022, an uprising of protests against inequality are sparking across that country and now across the globe on their behalf. even as we've seen more women activists in the country targeted and killed for demonstrating. Many have seen it as the largest challenge to government since the revolution, what's happening right now. So joining us now to talk more from Israel, mind you, is Israeli activist Noah Tishby. She is the former Israeli special envoy for combating anti-Semitism. Noah, welcome back to the show. I want you to hear from a few Iranian women activists that I spoke with not long ago. Take a listen here.
They're feeling very, very excited. They're thrilled because Iranians in occupied Iran, they don't see this as a war. They see this as liberation.
Because what people and politicians and activists are saying now is that no war, let's do diplomacy. Well, it is because of 47 years of diplomacy that this regime has been legitimized, strengthened, invited to the UN. And guess what? Diplomacy with this regime led to war.
Noah, today is International Women's Day. How important is it for us to be broadcasting voices like this?
It's very important for us to listen to the women of Iran and listen to the women in the Middle East. There is a gender apartheid happening right now in Iran, and in a lot of places in the Middle East, women are oppressed. They're being controlled, they're being dominated, they're being held back. And on International Women's Day, we need to listen to those people and understand that this war is, as Elika said, this is not a war, it's an actual liberation. It's extremely important, and I really hope that all of us can join forces with that. The other thing that's extraordinary for me is to see the Israeli women fighting in the military. So between the Israeli fighters and pilots and the Iranian women taking their veils off and exposing their hairs and demanding their freedoms, we should all really be.
So I, for one, am 100% supportive of women in the Middle East, especially gaining more freedom to be authentic and women of integrity. So this show today is really about helping us stop the battle within, first of all, and promote peace here first and foremost, so that it will spread throughout our communities, throughout our lands, and that we will see peace in the Middle East. We're going to probably see more death in the next few days, maybe. I hope this war ends quickly. But as you heard, for 47 years, there's been an attempt at diplomacy, I guess, and yet that it has led to more and more brutal killings, attacks on women, especially in the Middle East, or anyone who's in opposition to a regime that I now see as the Antichrist. When you think of Christ being a spirit of loving kindness, compassion, and peace, as the monks demonstrated this year coming to Washington, D.C., loving kindness, compassion, and peace. This regime in Iran that the government of the United States has started bombing is the total opposite of that Christ spirit of loving kindness, compassion, peace, and joy. And so if we look at this war not as something to be anti or against or hate, but looking at it more as a necessity to bring more balance and harmony to that region where Christ, the spirit of Christ, rules, that spirit of love, wisdom, compassion, and loving kindness, instead of brutality, hatred, control. I would say the extreme narcissism exists not in the only in the Middle East, but we have it even in our government. The imbalance with the male-female energy is so out of alignment with our Creator that this is a really serious time for us to individually spend more time in meditation, spend more time with words of affirmation being written down. I think it was Kwame Sunhor sent me something about the power of writing things down with a pen that connects to the brain and brings about harmony and power in your life. So that's why I'm all for promoting the work of first morning routine. Is today is going to be my peaceful day, writing it down and then speaking it and affirming it all day. And I believe that's how we'll see an end to this war. Until then, until we get more people following the wisdom of the monks who, well, spent 111 days walking in snow ice, and 2,000 miles of walking to demonstrate, to remind us of the power that even we have. I went to SeaWorld yesterday. Talk about privilege. Oh my goodness. I almost felt guilty, but my son works for SeaWorld for the last almost 20 years. So I get a free annual pass at SeaWorld for SeaWorld and Busch Gardens and Aquatica, all the water parks. So I decided my older son wanted to take his kids to Busch Gardens, which is almost hour and a half, 2 hours away, where SeaWorld is like 20 minutes away, 30 minutes. I'm going to SeaWorld, get my annual pass printed. I walked around that place for about 2 or 3 hours, enjoying the sun and sitting in front of the orca show, which used to be Shamu, the big whale show. Just I went there with the intention of absorbing the energy of the whale. Talk about privilege. Oh. And I got exactly what I wanted out of that visit, all by myself. I don't have a partner right now, so I enjoy just me and spirit and the nature. And as I sat there watching these beautiful creatures jumping up and down in the water, I just closed my eyes at one time and I could feel the energy of those huge animals nourishing me, comforting me, healing me. I really did feel privileged. I felt empowered, privileged, because I'm not sitting in a war zone waiting afraid of the next bomb. And all my life, I've never had that type of war fear. But now we all are feeling, I think many people in America are wondering what's next. Did they really figure out if there's a defeat coming from this war? For instance, some experts and intellectuals say that Iran thought about this war for many years coming. They were preparing for this war. So they're going to try and attack our data centers, our water supplies, and especially right now in the Middle East, attacking water supply. In fact, Ralph Smart did a video on this. Maybe I can pull that up, about the repercussions or the defense of the Iranians to attack they've already attacked some of our military bases in the Middle East, and we have soldiers coming home in caskets now. Sad event, but I'm all for the war that can bring millions of women freedom. And it's because the male domination in our government, in our negotiations, in our diplomacy in Iran, it's because we haven't had, I believe, a feminine energy interjected in settling these disputes and lack of harmony, that we are where we are today. So I want to encourage us. I'm going to do a little meditation. I want to encourage us to daily, if you want to see an end to the fighting and the deaths, then make it your responsibility to daily meditate on peace within. We cannot change the warmongers' method of operation. The industrial military complex is too far wide and deep for us to try and change, but we can change us. And I believe, like the monk said, once you change your behavior, your habits, that it will filter out as a collective influence, the massive collective influence of thousands and thousands and thousands of people meditating every day and claiming, this is going to be my peaceful day. We are going to change the world. So that's what I'm all about. Let's take a few minutes before we go to just close our eyes and together create in this moment peace within. In this moment, this is the only moment where we can make substantial change. No sense in regretting the past. I tried to give some advice to one of my sons about speaking words of concern about his dad's weight, and he said, "I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show my love. I'm not going to speak about the concern." I said, "Fine. I am of the mind that I don't want to have any regrets. So when Spirit speaks to me to speak up about anything, if it's in love and in the spirit of kindness, compassion, peace, I have to speak it. So sometimes I should do a trigger warning, but it's all about love and coming out of your triggers so you don't carry this burden of regrets. So let's just take a few minutes together, harmonize with the flute, breathing in peace, which we fully enjoy for the most part in America. We enjoy peace. Dolphins floating in the water. Peace, privilege. I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for those experiences in my life. Almost bring me to tears that I have such wonderful moments like that. And then to walk over and see other animals. Take in, breathe, give thanks. Give thanks for whatever day you had today where you didn't have to hide from bombs flying. Breathe in that your body, if you're still moving and breathing today, reason to give thanks. Breathe in that if you still have breath in your body, if you're not in a hospital, on tubes and medicines and depending even on medicines, breathe. Give thanks, give thanks. Today is a great day because you are free from war outside of you. So let's just heal the war inside. Breathe in, bring peace to the inside. Today is my peaceful day because I can breathe. Inhale, inhale. I can breathe. I can exhale, be inspired by my breath. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. I have family, I have friends, I have spirit, even if you don't have close friends or family. Be reminded that you have ancestors. If you've had anyone in your life who passed on, transitioned, believe me, they're helping you, they're with you. Breathe in the love and presence of your ancestors right now. Thank your mother, your father, if they've passed on, for their presence, for their help that you are now receiving in this moment. Breathe in. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad, for your help. Thank you for your guidance, Spirit of love, Spirit of truth. Thank you for your guidance each and every day. Thank you for music, my first love. So thankful for all the music that I can listen to every day. Just turn on YouTube, turn on my computer. Beautiful music that's soothing. Thank you. Thank you for food. If you have food in your household, we don't need much. Just be thankful for what you do have. And water. Thank you for clean water. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. We give thanks. Breathing in and out. Make it your daily, hourly practice to take deep breaths to get rid of pain or inflammation and to heal your body. Your breath can heal your body. If you take deep breaths in and exhale, breathe in and exhale, you can reduce or eliminate inflammation in your body by breathing in and out consistently, diligently, faithfully. Have faith, have faith, have faith in your breath. No fear, just faith in your breath that the Creator gives us to help us in these moments of confusion and chaos. Thanks, give thanks, give thanks. Give thanks. To all my brothers and sisters in Iran. We send love and healing and protection. Even as the bombs fly, may you be protected. And continue to stand on your faith that it's going to pass. This too shall pass. We need this battle. We need this war to overcome the Antichrist regime that has been in existence for too long. So we send love, protection, and a spiritual army to undo the Antichrist spirit in that area. So I don't see any comments here. So we're going to just end this show tonight, with gratitude and thanks. Namaste, namaste, sat nam, ashe, ashe o, aho, aho, for all of my natives, my indigenous brothers and sisters. And shalom, shalom. Everybody have a great week. Remember, wake up in the morning, put that pen to paper, get your affirmation written, pen to paper. This is going to be my great peaceful day. Every cell in my body is healed, healthy, strong, and full of love and light. Here, take that one and run with it every day, no matter what you're feeling. Okay, so until we meet again, I'll be back on Wednesday with Vegetable Soup for Women. More updates on whatever's going on. We're going to talk about it and bring it to a spiritual understanding, because evolution is the solution for all that we're going through. Mwah. Love you.